everybody. Welcome back to POW Science Experiments. My name is Mr. Miles. I'm going to be your POW Science scientist for the next few minutes. And today we have another fun, easy to do experiment that you can do with household materials during this quarantine. So if you are ready to see something really cool, keep on watching. So our experiment today is going to be about one of the most ancient foods known to man, butter. So all that butter is it's the collection of all the fat that's inside of milk. And you'd think that you'd need a lot of fancy equipment to make this happen, but it's actually a pretty simple physical process that you can do right at home. So the first step in turning milk into butter is to turn the milk into cream. Now that's not something we're going to do here today because it involves leaving milk out and there's risks of bacteria and it takes a while. So it's really best to start this experiment with the cream step already done. So you can do that by just going to your grocery store and getting some nice, heavy, ultra-pasteurized, germ-free cream. So heavy cream works best because it has a lot of fat in it, which is gonna be really good and get you a lot of butter. So the second material you need is you need something to put it in. So my favorite thing is a glass jar because it's clear so you can see what's happening inside, but it's also pretty sturdy because we're gonna be shaking this up and we want something that's gonna be able to hold up, to a lot of shaking. You can use plastic if that's all you have. You can also use something metal. You can do this in a coffee mug if you want. But again, I like glass best because you can see inside. Pretty straightforward. We're gonna put the cream in the jar. So when you put the cream in the jar, you don't want to fill it up all the way because it's got to have some air to get in. Because what's going to happen when we make the butter is we're going to be introducing air into our cream mixture. So you want to fill it up about 2/3 of the way. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Woo! Now that looks like chemistry to me. So before we go ahead and start making our butter by shaking up the jar, I'm going to add one more thing. What I'm going to add is a marble. Now a marble is optional. You can totally do it without the marble, but I like to add it in for a few reasons. Number one is that it's going to give us something to listen to while we're making our butter. So I'm going to put the marble in, screw our cap on, and listen to that. I can hear the marble shaking around in there, and that sound is going to change as we continue making our butter. The second reason that it's nice to add a marble is because it gives it something a little extra to kind of agitate it. So once you have your jar all set up, the next step is easy to say, but sometimes a bit hard to do. You just gotta shake it up. And here you can hear that clacking sound, so that's the marble telling us where we're at with our butter making process. That sound is going to change as we go forward. So you gotta shake for quite a while. For a jar about this size, it takes about 10 minutes of vigorous shaking to really get some butter. But it does go through different stages in the middle. So what I'm gonna do now is rather than having you watch me shake it, we're gonna use some movie magic to cut to some of the different phases you might see as you go from cream to butter. So stay tuned. So after about 2 minutes of shaking, you can see that obviously we don't have butter yet, but it is a lot thicker than it was before. So what's happening as we shake it is we are gradually introducing air into the mixture, and our goal is going to be to separate out the fat from the liquid. So obviously we haven't separated it yet, but you're gonna see as we go on, it's gonna get thicker and thicker, and then eventually it's just gonna turn into butter. So let's shake it for a little bit longer and see what happens next. So it's only been about a minute since I opened it last, but I want you to hear something. Listen how the marble doesn't make as much of a sound anymore? That's a sign that what we're doing is working and that it's getting a lot thicker. So let's open it up and take a look at what just 1 extra minute was able to do. So look at that. All right. So let's see if we can finish this up. So I'm gonna shake it up and I'm gonna show you what happens when it turns into butter. So after about another 3 minutes of shaking, this jar looks very, very different now. Now all the liquid has separated out and all the solids are in the center. So this is a sign that our butter is pretty much done. So let's take a look inside at what we have. So So as you can see, we have all of this liquid around. So this liquid is called buttermilk. It's actually quite delicious. You can put it in coffee, you can put it in pancakes, or if you don't want it, you can just get rid of it. But all the butter is that stuff in the middle. So now would be the point where we'd be just about done and we could take it out and put it in the fridge. So I have a very important question for you about our butter experiment here today. Do you think that this was a chemical reaction, or do you think it was not a chemical reaction? Have a think about what you think, and when you're ready to know the answer, tune back in. So some of you might be surprised to hear that the butter experiment is actually not a chemical reaction. It is a physical change, and what that means is that everything that's inside the jar has stayed the same chemically as it was when we put it in. It's just changed its shape. That's just like how we can freeze water and turn it into ice, but it's still technically water. So when we shake up the jar and agitate it, we're introducing a lot of air into the cream, and then eventually, if we shake it up enough, all the fat molecules that are inside the cream kind of stick and lump together and separate out from the liquid. But we could reverse it and put it all back if we wanted to. You just have to heat the butter up and reintroduce it very slowly. But there's no chemical changes that have occurred here. Everything inside here is exactly the same as it was when I put it in. It's just changed shape. I hope you have enjoyed your POW Science experiment today. My name, again, is Mr. Miles. I'm your POW Science scientist. I'm about to go make some popcorn or some mashed potatoes or something to put all this butter on, and I hope that you do the same, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching.